What's up, everyone? We're going to be going to the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, don't forget to like this video, as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video, clicking that button down below. And if we get 600 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we were on a huge hot streak. But if you want to get 20 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be a link down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $540 just yesterday. Another member who won $195 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Robert Martin V5E who said let's cook. Shout out to ASMR 10X official who said cook it up. Shouts out to Kason Necker 205 who said my goat, and also shouts out to 70 MD Baldwin who said great job. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to talk about is none other than Emmanuel Quickly, and this one is for 2.5 3-pointers made, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Emmanuel Quickly, we actually have seen him go on the under in 1 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, see on November 14th, faced off against Cleveland, had 5 3-pointers made there. November 16th, faced off against Indiana, had 2 3-pointers made. Then 3 3-pointers against Charlotte on November 18th. November 20th, faced off against Philly, had 4 3-pointers made. And then against Washington on November 22nd, and had 3 3-pointers made there. So when we look at Emmanuel Quickly, we have definitely seen him do a pretty decent job over the last 5. Has only gone on the under in 1 out of the last 5. And we do know that his average over the last 5 is also 3.4. Now, coming into this matchup, Emmanuel Quickly and the Toronto Raptors face off against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, it is going to be an exciting game between both of these teams, but looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with Toronto. Toronto come in at the actual 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 11 wins and 5 losses. That's a 68.8% win percentage there. They're also 4-2 from home, 7-3 from away, and are currently on a 6-game win streak. So Raptors have been on an absolute tear as of lately. They've surprised a lot of people because they've been on an absolute roll, and they find themselves in a very good situation. Now, they face off against Brooklyn Nets, where Brooklyn Nets do come in at the 13th spot in the actual Eastern Conference. They have a record of 3 wins and 12 losses. So that's a 20% win percentage there. 0-7 from home, 3-5 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very interesting to see, looking at both these teams and where they do rank. When we look at actually defensively where Brooklyn Nets rank, however, we do see when it comes to 3-point percentages allowed, we do see that the Brooklyn Nets find themselves in the 28th spot. Then we look at 3-point attempts allowed, and Brooklyn Nets actually rank 6th. And then when we look at 3-point makes allowed, we do see Nets ranking 18th. So, overall, it is pretty interesting because, obviously Brooklyn rank a little bit lower in 3-point makes, 3-point percentages, but when it comes to 3-point attempts, they rank very high. So the reason why, however, we still do like the under for someone like Emmanuel Quickly coming into this game is due to the fact when we actually look on a per position basis, we do actually see that Brooklyn Nets do a fantastic job at restricting 3-point attempts, 3-point makes, and 3-point percentage to the guard position, which is what Quickly is. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. We definitely see someone like Quickly going on the under in this situation due to the matchup that they do face off against. And on top of that, when we also look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So, when we look on that, we do definitely see some signs on why he will go on the under. And although he hasn't has gone on the over quite consistently, he has faced off against easier teams from the 3-point line. So now that he is facing off against a team like, Brooklyn Nets, it may be a very different story, which is why we are liking the under for it. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for this one. So Emmanuel Quickly, 2.5 3-pointers made for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Luka Doncic. So Luka Doncic, great player. Now, this one is another 3-point make for actually 3.5, and this one also is for less. Now, looking at Luka, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, see on November 11th, faced off against Charlotte, had 5 3-pointers made there. November 13th, faced off against OKC, had 1 3-pointer made. Then New Orleans Pelicans on November 15th faced off against them and had 3 3-pointers made. Then 5 3-pointers made against Milwaukee on November 16th. And then November 19th faced off against Utah and had 2 3-pointers made there. Now, looking at someone like Luka Doncic and the LA Lakers, they face off against the Utah Jazz, where when we look at actually the Utah Jazz and the LA Lakers, it is going to be an exciting matchup between both of these teams, because looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with the Lakers have come in at the 3rd spot in the Western Conference. They have a record of 11 wins and 4 losses. That's a 73.3% win percentage there. They're 4-2 from home, 7-2 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So, very interesting to see there. Now, looking at Utah Jazz have come in at the 10th spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 5 wins and 10 losses. So, that's a 33.3% win percentage. And they're also 4-4 from home, 1-6 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So, very interesting to see there. Now, looking at actually, Utah Jazz and how they rank defensively when it comes to the 3-point line, we do actually see when it comes to 3-point percentages allowed, Utah Jazz ranked 25th. Then 3-point attempts allowed, we see that the Jazz do also rank 29th. And then 3-point makes allowed, we see that the Jazz also rank 30th. So they rank very low. So why do we actually like the under for this situation here? And a big reason being is that when we actually look at Luka Doncic, his usage rate in the 3-point line has been very minimal. And there is a lot of reason for that. When we just see the play style that LA Lakers are running, especially with LeBron, out there on the floor, we definitely still see Luka, although he is scoring at a very high clip, we definitely see him being more of an inside type scorer, mid-range type player, and he's getting to the basket whenever he can. So 3-point attempts haven't really been his strong point. Yes, he's had some games where he has gone on the over, but those are outlying games where those teams do allow a lot of 3-point attempts, and especially allow 3-point attempts to Luka's position. So coming into this next one, we do very much like the actual, under for this situation for someone like Luka. When we actually look at this matchup, we also do see that when we see that Utah Jazz also do a pretty decent job at restricting 3-point attempts, 3-point makes, and 3-point percentage to Luka's position. They still do somewhat a decent job there. And on top of that, with the usage rate of Luka Doncic being very low in the 3-point department, we definitely see Luka going on the under here. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under. When we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, Luka Doncic, 3.5 3-pointers made for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting to the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than actually Derek White. So Derek White, great player. Now this one's another interesting one because this is a rebounds and assist one. So this one's actually a combo for 9.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Derek White, we actually have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, this one's been an interesting one because not only that, but we saw on November 12th, faced off against Philly, had 12 rebounds and assists there. November 13th, faced off against Memphis, had 9 rebounds and assists. Then November 17th, faced off against the LA Clippers, had 16 rebounds and assists. After that, November 19th, faced off against Brooklyn, had 9 rebounds and assists. And then 5 rebounds and assists on November 22nd against Brooklyn Nets. So it's definitely been an interesting battle for sure. But coming into this matchup, we do know that not only has Derek White also averaged, 10.2, but we do know that Boston Celtics face off against none other than actually Orlando Magic. So it is going to be a good game because looking at where both these teams do lie, it is definitely interesting to see because we do see starting off with Boston Celtics have come in at the 11th spot in the actual Eastern Conference. Of course, they are playing without Jason Tatum, so they definitely have struggled, but when it comes to them and the Celtics, they are 11th. They have a record of 8 wins, 8 losses, a 50% win percentage there, 4-4 from home, 4-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there when we actually look at Derek White and the Boston Celtics. They definitely have struggled just a little bit, but they aren't really too far away from staying in that playoff contention in the top 8. Now, they face off against Orlando Magic team, where Orlando are actually a little bit better than them because they rank 8th in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 10 wins and 7 losses, a 58.8% win percentage there. They're also 7-3 from home, 3-4 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So when we actually look at, the rebounds and assists for someone like Orlando against Boston, we do see that Orlando Magic ranks 2nd when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed, they do rank 6th. So this one is kind of a no-brainer to us. Orlando ranked very, very well at restricting rebounds, at restricting assists, and for that reason, we do very much like the under for it. Now, when we also look at the matchup between both of these teams, both are very slow paced, and Orlando being a little bit more slower paced, we do know that Orlando actually do like to slow down the pace of faster paced teams, and what that does mean, less pace means less volume, and less volume means less opportunity to rebound and play make. So for someone like Derek White, who also has seen a little bit of a lower usage rate as of lately, 3 out of the last 5, we definitely see him going on the under here. Now, Derek White has definitely still played a big part for this Boston team, but I do believe with Jason Tatum out, we definitely have seen Derek White take a little bit more of a different sort of role for this roster, and it definitely has taken a huge effect on his rebounding and assist line. So for that reason, we are definitely sticking to the under for this one, so definitely keep an eye out for someone like Derek White. And when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So Derek White, 9.5 rebounds and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Rui Hachimura. So Rui has done a fantastic job for none other than actually Los Angeles Lakers, and we've seen him do a great job averaging 15.1 points, 3.8 rebounds, also 1.2 assists, and has also had a 56.6% field goal percentage. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. And when we look at someone like Rui, we did see him come in 79th when it comes to points, ranked 147th when it comes to rebounds, 150th plus when it came to assists, and then 18th when it came to field goal percentage. So very, very good from Rui, and the Los Angeles Lakers do have themselves a really good matchup against none other than the Utah Jazz. So it has been a very, very exciting season for the Lakers because Lakers find themselves in a pretty good position so far this season. They are currently ranked 3rd in the Western Conference. They have a record that puts them 11 wins and 4 losses. And on top of that, they face off against a team like Utah Jazz, who do rank 10th and have a record of 5 wins and 10 losses. Now, looking at Lakers more in depth, we do know they have a 73.3% win percentage there, 4-2 from home, 7-2 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. And they face off against the Jazz, who have a 33.3% win percentage, 1-6 from away, 4-4 from home, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So pretty interesting matchup there. Now, looking at both of these teams more in depth, we do also know that, looking at Utah Jazz defensively, we do see, starting off with points allowed, we do actually see that Utah Jazz rank 29th when it comes to points allowed. They also rank 30th when it comes to assists allowed and then rebounds allowed. They do rank much better as they rank 9th in the rebounds category. So, looking at this, obviously, we do see they rank very poorly in points and assists, a little bit better in rebounds. But coming into this matchup, we do actually like the over for someone like Rui in the points and assist department. Now, big reason is that Utah Jazz do definitely do a pretty poor job at restricting both of those categories. But coming into this matchup between Lakers and Jazz, we are expecting Jazz to play a little bit of a fast-paced type basketball, and we are expecting them to actually speed up the pace of actually Los Angeles Lakers, and more pace means more volume and more opportunity for someone like Rui. Now, Rui, I wouldn't say is the highest sort of usage rate player when it comes to points, but what we have seen, even if LeBron plays, Luka plays, some people are injured, some people are not, Rui's usage rate out there has remained very, very consistent no matter kind of the situation. So that's why coming into this next one, we do very, very much like the over for someone like Rui against Utah Jazz. Now looking at his last 5 games, you saw on the 9th faced off against Atlanta, had a 122-102 loss with 8 points, 0 assists, 2 rebounds there. On the 11th, faced off against Charlotte, had a 121-111 win with 21 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds there. On the 13th, faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder, had a 121-92 loss with 13 points, 1 assist, 5 rebounds. Then on the 15th, faced off against New Orleans Pelicans, had a 118-104 win with 14 points, 0 assists, 4 rebounds. And then on the 19th, faced off against Utah, had a 140-126 win with actually 6 points, 1 assist, and 4 rebounds there. So we definitely have seen him do a fantastic job time and time again. But coming into this next matchup, we do very much like the over for someone like Rui Hachimura coming into this game. Now getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Darius Garland. So Darius Garland, great player for Cleveland Cavaliers, and he's done a fantastic job averaging 14.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and has also had a 35.4% field goal percentage. So he's definitely done a great job there. Now when we look at Cleveland Cavaliers, they face off against none other than actually the LA Clippers. But looking also at both of these teams and where both of them do rank. Starting off with Cleveland, we do know Cleveland come in at the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference. They've gotten off to a great start of the season, also have a record of 11 wins and 6 losses, at a 64.7% win percentage there. They're 7-3 from home, 4-3 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. And they face off against the Clippers, who unfortunately haven't had the greatest start to the season and actually ranked 12th in the Western Conference, and also have a record of 5 wins and 11 losses. So they have a 31.3% win percentage there. They're 3-5 from home, 2-6 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So it's definitely been a very, very, interesting time for Clippers. They definitely have struggled quite a bit. And looking at this matchup more in depth, we do also know that they face off against, a Clippers team where Clippers do actually rank when it comes to points allowed. They rank 18th. Looking at assists allowed, we see that they actually do rank, a little bit worse, which they do rank 20th. And then rebounds allowed, we see the LA Clippers rank 11th. So they actually don't really rank too bad. They're very mid-tier. But coming into this next one, we do like the over for someone like Darius Garland. Now, as we mentioned, we do very much like the over. But for someone like Darius Garland against LA Clippers, the big reason why we do like the over is not only that Clippers do a pretty, mid to poor job at actually restricting points, rebounds, and assists. Yes, they do rank a little bit higher in rebounds, but looking overall, we do also see that LA Clippers actually struggle at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to actually Darius Garland's position, which is that guard position. So that's why coming into this matchup, we do very, very much like the over for it. Garland has definitely been a very, very great asset for this Cavaliers team, and he's definitely had a really, really consistent usage rate. He isn't putting up, 30 points or anything of that nature, but his usage rate out there stays consistent, and if his line does come on the under his averages, then we definitely do like the over for it. Now, looking at his most recent games, we saw on the 6th of this month, faced off against Philly, had a 132-121 win with 8 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds there. Then on the 8th, faced off against Washington, had a 148-115 win with 20 points, 9 assists, and also 2 rebounds there. On the 11th, faced off against Miami, had a 140-138 loss with 11 points, 2 assists, and also 5 rebounds there. After that, on the 22nd, faced off against Indiana, had a 120-109 win with 20 points, 7 assists, and 2 rebounds there. So it's definitely been very, very interesting for Garland, when it comes to how well he has played throughout his most recent games. He's definitely had some big hitting games, and it's definitely against teams that are much easier in a sense of defense. And that's why coming into this matchup, we are definitely expecting someone like Darius Garland, who faces off against the LA Clippers team, who really do struggle at restricting, points, rebounds, and assists to the guard position. We see Garland taking advantage of this and going on the over there. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the over for someone like Garland. As I always mentioned, if the line is under his averages, then definitely look to go on the over. So getting to the next player, going to be talking about Kristaps Porzingis. So Kristaps, great player for the Atlanta Hawks now, and he's done a great job with this team because he's actually averaged 17.2 points, 5.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and also had a 45.2% field goal percentage. So he's definitely done a great job for the Hawks, and the Hawks have definitely been on somewhat of a great run to start the season. But coming into this next one, they do have themselves a really good matchup against the actual Charlotte Hornets. Now, it is going to be a good game between both of these teams because looking at where both of these teams do rank, Atlanta Hawks find themselves in the 7th spot in the actual Eastern Conference. They have a record of 10 wins and 7 losses. That's a 58.8% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 2-4 from home, 8-3 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So they definitely have done a great job in that matchup. But looking at that matchup, we do also know that they face off against a Charlotte Hornets team who ranked 12th in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 4 wins and 12 losses. That's a 25% win percentage there. 3-5 from home, 1-7 from away, and are currently on a 5-game losing streak. So Hawks are coming into this matchup hoping to finally break their losing streak. So they are going to definitely give it their all. But we do also see that when we look at Charlotte Hornets, they do actually rank when it comes to points allowed. We do actually see that Charlotte Hornets rank 23rd. When we look at assists allowed, we also do see that Charlotte Hornets, I would say, are in a little bit of the lower half as they rank 27th. And then rebounds allowed, we see that they rank 2nd. So Charlotte actually surprisingly are a great rebounding team. And although that is the case, it hasn't really translated to that many wins because they find themselves in a little bit of a tough situation. But coming into this matchup, we do also know that the Hawks face off against Charlotte, and we do actually like Kristaps Porzingis for the over for this situation here, but strictly just for points and assists. Now, a big reason why is obviously, Charlotte Hornets do struggle at points and assists, but what we also do see with this is that when we actually look at Atlanta Hawks and the matchup against Charlotte also do very much struggle at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the center position. Now, coming into this matchup, however, we would focus a little bit more on points and assists more than anything else due to the fact that Charlotte's overall do rank worse in those two categories. So I definitely would keep an eye out for those two more than rebounds. Now, when we actually look at this matchup more in depth, we also do know, looking at the pace of this game, Charlotte do like to run the ball. They like to play that fast-paced type basketball, and we definitely see that affecting this game greatly. So that's why coming into this matchup, we do very much like the over for this situation here. Now, looking at Kristaps over the last 5 games, we saw on the 8th of this month, faced off against Toronto, had a 109-97 loss with 17 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds there. On the 11th, faced off against the LA Clippers, had 20 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Then on the 13th, faced off against Sacramento, had a 133-100 win with 13 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Then on the 21st, faced off against San Antonio Spurs, had a 135-126 loss with 16 points, 1 assist, and 5 rebounds. Then 29 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds against New Orleans Pelicans with a 115-98 win. So that was on the 23rd as well. So we have seen Kristaps Porzingis do a fantastic job, at times when it comes to easier matchups. And that's why coming into this next one, we are definitely liking the over for someone like Kristaps, who faces off against a Charlotte team that do struggle at, kind of defending centers in general. So like I mentioned before, definitely keep an eye more closely to points and assists due to the fact that Charlotte's overall, type defense does struggle in those two categories more than the other. So definitely keep an eye out for the over for those two. When it comes to Kristaps Porzingis, keep an eye out for the line. If the line is under his averages, then definitely look to go on the over.